Well, we got our first trade of 2025. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Guitar Gear Trader. I'm Steve, and this is our first trade of 2025. Before I get into it, let's do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell if you like the content. Leave your comments down in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about the trade. Tell me if I'm nuts. Tell me if I got a good deal, if I got a bad deal. I can take it. I'm a big boy. Either way, it's fine. But I'd love to hear your feedback. So let's get into what's going on here. So I wanted to talk to you about this guitar before I actually traded it. So what we have here is a really gorgeous example of a Gibson J200. Okay, that stupid ring. I got to figure out what to do with that ring light. I'll put it in the middle, put it in the sound hole. But I got this guitar about 2 years ago from brand new from Sweetwater, and sadly, I'm going to trade it away. It's got a beautiful spruce top and this beautiful flamed maple back and sides. And this was a guitar I've always wanted my entire life. And funny story about this guitar, when I ordered it, I got the friends. I got the Sweetwater credit card, and I had, I had like a $5,000 limit or something like that on the credit card. So I called up the credit card company and said, can you give me a little bit more credit? So they gave me $10,000 worth of credit. So I go on to Musician's Friend, Sweetwater. They're going to kill me. I go on to Sweetwater and I find the J200, and I say, you know what? I'm going to pull the trigger. They had a financing deal on the guitar at that particular time. And it was like, I don't know, $200 a month, whatever it was. I forget, for 36 months. You can do the math if you wanted to. It was $4,999 at the time. They're $5,700 now. So the value has gone up on them. So I order the guitar, and I'm waiting because it's back ordered. It's in the middle of COVID, right? Back ordered. I'm in Tennessee at this point. A year goes by, and I don't have the guitar yet. And that's fine. It didn't bother me. I didn't get charged yet, until they don't charge you until they ship the guitar out. So I was getting kind of antsy because this was going to be my first real big purchase of an acoustic guitar. To be really honest, the only other acoustics I had prior to this guitar were like those composite Martins, I had one of those black like carbon fiber Martins. I had an old Gretsch Jumbo, it was called the Rancher, but it's not the current day Rancher. It was like the early 2000s Rancher. It was a really, really good guitar. Same body shape, big jumbo style body shape. But I had sold that to get something else. But everything else was kind of like low end Martins, right? That was like where I stayed. And when I moved to Tennessee, I didn't have an acoustic at all. I just had a $150 Washburn 12 string that I bought off somebody on Craigslist before I moved here from New York. And I really wanted a nice acoustic. So now I'm getting antsy, right? It's been a year. They keep telling me, oh, it's going to ship in August. No, it's going to ship in October. No, it's going to ship in December. No, it'll ship in February. And they did that 4 or 5 times. And it's not Sweetwater's fault at all. I don't blame them at all. They were actually really good about everything. So I go online and go back onto Sweetwater, and I see that they have a D41 Martin, all ready to go in stock. There's one left. Now, if you don't know what the D41 is, it's essentially a D18, right, or a D28 or a D35. All the D lines in Martin are all the same body shape. They're all dreadnoughts. The appointments are different though, right? So on the D18, you don't get the fancy white binding. You know, I don't think you get the fancy stuff around the sound hole. On the D28, you get the stripe down the center and the back. You get a nice white binding. Okay, I'm not sure if the wood's much different. Those are the two really most popular Martins, I think, the D18 and the D28. They're pretty affordable and they're amazing guitars, but essentially the same guitar. I tend to go towards the D35s, and I didn't find that out till later, but I have a D35. It's right down there. I loved the D35s. I love the Brazilian rosewood in the back, on the back, the way they figure it in there, and I'll talk about that guitar another day. But they had one in stock. They had a D41 in stock. Now, if you don't know what that is, like I said, it's the D18, but it's the most souped up Martin, basically, that they have. It's like the Cadillac of Martins. It has really, really fancy inlay work around the sound hole. It has inlay work on the side of the neck joint, okay, up in here. It has really, really fancy pearloid binding on the front and the back, I think. It has trapezoid inlays. Typically on Martins, they only have dot inlays, but this has trapezoid pearloid inlays. The headstock on the Martin says CF Martin going down, and I was like, oh my god, I didn't even know. To be honest, I really didn't even know they made that. I had no idea that was even the thing at the time, and I saw that they had it in stock, and it was the exact same price as the Gibson, as the J200. So I called up my rep. My rep's name is Ben Robinson. He's great. He's fantastic. I love Ben. I work with him all the time. I always email him directly before I ever want to buy anything. He works with me all the time. So I called him up and I was like, listen, do me a favor. Can you send me? I'm going to switch my order. I'm going to get the Martin instead of the Gibson, because I'm getting antsy. I'm getting a little tired of waiting for the Gibson. He says, sure, no problem. Sends me the Martin the next day. I have it. It's unreal, this guitar. Sounds amazing. I'm a little scared to touch it because of how pretty it is, and I don't want to scratch it. But it played like nothing else I've ever played before. So then, about 2 days later, Ben calls me up, and he says, hey, the J200's just got in. I was like, oh man, I was like, I don't know what to do. I was like, I've been playing the Martin for 2 days. It sounds really nice. I was like, but what should I do? He goes, what if I sent you the Gibson as well, play both of them for a couple of days, and send the one back that you don't want? I was like, really? You do that? He's like, yeah, no problem. Just be careful with them. If don't damage them. He's like, but play them. See which one you like better. So he sends them to me, and that is the salesman in Ben Robinson, right? I ended up keeping both guitars because I had $10,000 credit limit on the Sweetwater card, and I financed them both. So it was like $470 a month. It was like a car payment for these two guitars. So I called him up. I'm like, listen, I can't give any of these back. And I was like, I'm pretty sure you knew that was what I was going to say. So I'm going to keep them both. And I'm sure he was happy because he just got commission on $10,000 worth of guitars. And I was happy because I had two of the nicest guitars that are made, off the line in the country. Pretty much the flagship model for Gibson and the flagship model for Martin. So I was a happy boy. And then, as a guitar trader does, you get bored and you want something else. And you look around the room and you say, what can I trade for this thing? So I ended up trading the Martin, mostly because I figured I would never be able to get another one of these, right? Because of how hard it was to get this originally, where I waited a year and a half to get this. The Martin, I didn't feel I needed a D41. I felt it was really too ornate for me. It was really blingy. It was a showpiece. It was like for Vince Gill. That wasn't for me. I rather something a little less, flamboyant or showy, I guess. And this is showy. It's got a lot. It's in your face. It's a big, beautiful guitar. But it's not the same as that D41. That D41 was wow. And I really, really wanted a good 335. I wanted a 335 like Marty McFly in Back to the Future. I know his is a 355, but at the time I was willing to get a 335. They were very abundant on Facebook and Craigslist and all those other places. So I find this guy on, I want to say, Facebook Marketplace here in Nashville. And this is the wonders of Nashville. Find this guy in Nashville. He's selling a Memphis built 335. It was like a 2013 335, cherry red. It was used, but it wasn't. It was taken care of, right? It was in really, really good shape. And I just straight up email people, even if they say no trades. I straight up email people and I say, hey, I got this guitar. Would you be interested? So I email him because he had it on Facebook as a listing, and I said, I got a Martin D41. Would you be interested in trading? And he gets right back to me and he's like, yeah, I'd definitely be interested in that. He's like, do you want to do a straight trade for it? And I'm like, well, I can't do a straight trade for it because I literally just got it. I might have had it a month or two. And I was like, well, I'm going to need cash on top of it, because I was like, they're not equal value guitars, even when they're new. I think the 335s are going to be in the $3,500 range, if maybe $3,000, $3,500 range. And, this Martin was $5,000. So I was like, would you do the guitar and, $2,000? And he's like, can you do 1,500? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do 1,500. I'll take a little bit of hit on it, but I'm going to get a guitar that I really want. Ask me if I have that guitar still. The answer is no. That's a whole nother story. But I meet the guy, and there was a Luke Combs concert in town that weekend. And I had went, it was a 2-night concert, and I went to the first night at Bridgestone Arena. And he came to the house to trade guitars, and he was telling me that he was going to go to the Luke Combs concert that night, the second night. And I was like, oh, wow, I was there yesterday. And he's like, yeah, well, I'm one of his writers. I was like, get out. Now, for Luke Combs, the opening act for him was Riley Green that night, who I love both of them. But Riley Green plays Martins. He has like a contract with Martin. He plays D41s. So he's like, yeah. I was like, you write for Luke Combs? He's like, yeah, I'm one of his writers, but he's like, I also wrote for Riley Green. I was like, oh, really? Like, that's awesome. He goes, yeah, I wrote There Was This Girl on that red 335. I was like, get out. That was so cool to me that I'm buying it. And I love that song. I love Riley Green. I love that song. I hope that's the name of it. There Was This Girl. I'm pretty sure that it is. And I was like, oh man, that's so awesome. I get a guitar that I don't know if it was a number one hit, but it was a hit on the radio. That was all over the radio for a long time. And he's like, yeah, Riley plays these D41s because he has a contract with Martin. And he's like, I just fell in love with them. And when yours came up, I was like, oh, I got to get that. So he gave me $1,500 in $100 bills and a really sweet 335 that was, had some clout to it. It didn't write Stairway to Heaven, but it wrote a song that I really, really liked. And I traded it, and I've had this ever since. I haven't gotten rid of this, obviously, until today. Well, potentially today. I'm going to leave here in about an hour to go see if I can trade this. But why am I trading it? So ultimately, this guitar is a little bit of a disappointment. Now, I didn't know it was a disappointment, really, until I got my hands on other stuff. It's the most gorgeous thing I've ever owned. It's not the easiest to play sitting down. My arm kind of goes numb on me if I have it over here too long. Okay, if I put my arm over and do some strumming for a while, my arm kind of goes numb. But the reason I'm selling it is because it doesn't jump out to me. Like it's pretty to look at, but like when I pick up, I hate to say this because it's a $5,000 guitar. If I pick up an Epiphone and the Epiphone version of this, I feel like it doesn't sound much of a lesser guitar. Like this should sound, I should strum a G on this. And I should be like blown away by it. And I'm just not, and that's bothered me for a while. But I've kept it here on the wall, and I always look at it. I'm like, I'm never going to be able to get another one. If I get rid of it, I'm never going to be able to get another one. And I don't, unless I trade, because remember, my goal is to get stuff that I don't want to trade, right? I want to fill my room with stuff I don't want to trade. If I could keep all of this stuff, I would. I really would. If I could just buy, I would. If I was Joe Bonamassa or some of these other guys that have the luck and they have the ability to go play and make money and buy all these things, okay, I would keep them all. But this it doesn't do it for me, especially when I got that D35 that sounds amazing and that Dove that sounds amazing up there. They both sound way, way better than this guitar. And I hate to see it go. I really do. I'm going to miss it. I had it in the case last night, but it's just got to go. So what am I trading it for? Okay, so potentially I got two potential trades options for myself here. So I went on Facebook and I emailed people that said no trades in their listings. One guy is selling a 1971 Les Paul Custom in black, all original except for the tuners were changed. Only thing about the guitar is that it has like 0 frets on it. It was like one of those fretless wonder Les Pauls back in the 70s. So I'm probably gonna have to get it refretted. However, I'm not even planning on keeping it. I got an idea for it, but that's a whole nother episode. But that's one option. One option is the 1971 Les Paul straight up trade. Because you go on Reverb and you look up 1971 Les Paul Customs in black or ebony, they're going between $6,000 and $8,000 depending on how well their the condition is. Really, like poor ones that have like a route for a third pick, because this only has 2 pickups, but there are ones that have like routes for third pickups and replaced pickups and paint's chipping off all over the place. People are asking $6,500 for it. I know they're not getting it; they're only asking for it, but they're asking for $6,500. Really, ones that are like pristine are being asked like $10,000 for. So I'm figuring I at least have $7,000 worth of guitar there, and this is a 50. Right now this guitar probably worth. If I put this on Facebook, I could probably ask for $4,000 and maybe get it if I'm being realistic. So if he's willing to trade that with me and it all works and all the electronics work, I checked all the pots. The pot codes are all 1971. No headstock break, no stamp second on the headstock, none of that. So that's trade option number 1. That's priority number 1. I'm going to go meet him in about an hour. If I don't like that, then I got a guy who he's over in East Tennessee, who has a Martin D41 that he is trading, and he is asking for $4,000, and he said no trades as well. But I emailed him and I said, listen, I got this J200. I sent him pictures. That's another thing. Send pictures right away. Okay, I got this J200. It's mint condition, barely played. Would you like to trade? And he is all about it. He's ready to go with the trade. But we'll see. We'll see. Do I get the Les Paul? Do I get the Martin? If I get the Les Paul, I'm almost going to promptly trade it for something. I'm going to try and trade it for something else, which I already got my eye on. But that is going to be what I think is what I'm going to do. So if you like this episode, let me know. If you think my trade options are good options, let me know. If you think they're bad options, let me know. But wish me luck, and I'll see you on the next episode and give you an update. Peace.